Greetings, friends. My name is Heather, and today I'm going to share with you the books that I read in the month of December, starting with My True Love Gave to Me, edited by Stephanie Perkins, and she is one of the contributors of this festive, Christmassy holiday anthology. I really enjoyed it. Some of the stories were really not what I was expecting. Like Laini Taylor's story at the very end is not very Christmassy at all, but it was beautifully written. I enjoyed certain stories more than others. I also read Winter by Marissa Meyer, and this is the fourth and final installment of the Lunar Chronicles series, which is probably my favorite series that I read this year. I read all four of them this year, and I enjoyed all of them, especially Cress, and Winter was so perfect. I mean, the way everything was tied up at the very end is amazing. So if you don't know, the Lunar Chronicles is a sci-fi fairy tale retelling of Cinderella, Little Red Riding Hood, I always want to say Tangled, but it's Rapunzel, and Snow White. And it is so amazingly written, very fast-paced, very exciting. You've got romance, action, adventure, an amazing villain. It's a great series, and I highly recommend it. Eleanor Park by Rainbow Rowell. In typical Rainbow Rowell fashion, this was an amazing and beautiful contemporary love story that was both funny and heartbreaking, and it ends so like cliffhangery, even though this is a standalone. I really enjoyed it. I didn't think at first that I was gonna like it very much. I was kind of reading it and it didn't seem like really my style. I don't tend to read a lot of contemporaries, but I've had really great luck with Rainbow Rowell, so that's why I picked it up in the first place. But I really enjoyed it. It was just touching and funny and had amazingly diverse characters, which I really enjoyed. So if you like Rainbow Rowell and you haven't read this yet, I think you should read it. The Coldest Girl in Coldtown by Holly Black. This I thought was my first Holly Black, but looking back at high school, I think I read Tithe by Holly Black, and I know that's part of a series, and I don't think I continued the series. So I don't know if I really liked this very much. It is a vampire book. It is about a girl who lives in a world where people know about vampires, and vampires are kind of glorified, sort of, and if you're infected, you have to report yourself to a cold town. So vampires go in, but they can't leave. And humans can go in there too, voluntarily, but they can never leave. So she thinks she's been infected, so she takes herself into a cold town, but there's also this really old, hot vampire guy, and I don't know, it's sort of, there's some romance, but it felt kind of like insta-lovey to me at the very end, which didn't make any sense, and I don't know. So I wouldn't totally recommend it to people unless you really like vampire stories. Then this was a unique take, I think, on a vampire story. I also read Soundless by Rochelle Mead. This is my first Rochelle Mead I've ever read. I haven't read the Vampire Academy series, haha, speaking of vampires. But I don't know, it's a new release and it's super short, and the premise was really interesting to me. Basically, the main character, Faye, lives in a village at the top of a mountain where everybody is deaf, so everyone communicates visually. They are pretty much blocked up there on the mountain. They can't really leave, so they get their food from the township at the bottom of the mountain in exchange for precious metals that they mine at the top of the mountain. But the problem is that some of the people in the village are going blind, and so these are miners, and now they aren't mining as much precious metal, and so they're not getting as much food. So anyway, the main character suddenly gets her hearing back, so she goes on this adventure with this handsome old friend of hers to try and get more food. So it's an interesting premise based on Chinese folklore. I thought that it was pretty good. but I feel like the characters were really underdeveloped, and that's probably because it was so short. And actually a lot of people have said that. I know Reagan from Prue's Project said it, and Sasha from A Book Utopia also said it. However, in reading We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, that's also a super short book, but it had really developed characters. So I don't know if it's much of an excuse. The love story was, you know, it was fine. It's a fantasy, and that intrigued me, but the fantastical elements, I think, of it don't really come till the very end, and so, I don't know, they seem kind of out of place, but whatever. I read it in a day, and it was a fun ride. The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. This was recommended by Sasha from A Book Utopia, and I actually really enjoyed it. The main character is a princess who, on her wedding day, decides to run away to this little town where she wants to basically start over. But she's followed there by two mysterious men, one of whom is an assassin sent to kill her, and the other is the prince who she was supposed to marry. So there's a bit of a love triangle. There is some fantasy because the princess is thought to have a gift of kind of like a knowing, like a sixth sense sort of gift. It is the beginning of a series, and I really enjoyed this book, so I do want to read the next book in the series, which is called The Heart of Betrayal. Let me know if you've read any of these books in the comments below, and tell me how you liked them, and also let me know what you read in the month of December. I want to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like me and my videos, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!